This is not my thing, by the way. Just gonna say my story sucks and shit. I'm an old installment to this gallery called New York City. Not that old, because when he mentioned 88, that's where my story's gonna start. But I was born in 78, and yeah, I'm from the old New York. I was born in Brooklyn Hospital. I'm one of those installments that are curated by Hope and whatever the fuck people come to New York City for. Right? I was born in Brooklyn Hospital, born in the Williamsburg. That's not the Williamsburg you know. I remember I was talking to Lauryn Hill like, you know, and it's not like she's my homegirl. I just happened to meet her for like about half an hour. We were kicking it. I was at the time doing something. And then she was like, oh, how far you live? I was like, oh, I live right over the bridge in Williamsburg. And I was like, but not that Williamsburg. And she was like, not that Williamsburg. So that just gives you a reference. I'm just not from that Williamsburg. All right? So let's take it back to like the colorful New York where like, yeah, it was every stereotype you saw in movies and shit. And more than that, there's layers to it, right? I'm from the New York where like shit was seedy, there was like a bunch of art, and like, I know like a lot of old New Yorkers be like, oh, shit ain't what it used to be, or et cetera, and I'm like, 2 years ago I'm riding the L train, right? And I'm on my way home Friday night, just like about this time, and on the train before me, there just happened to be a fight that broke out, 2 people got in a brawl, and somebody got pinned between the train, and I saw this shit. And I saw it before I saw it. Like, I kind of felt it on some, like, spidey sense. I was like, man, that's some crazy... Like, I felt it. Like, people just like, oh, shit. And I looked, and this guy was, like, pinned. Just, like, his last seconds of his life. And I was just like, man, like, I'm not going to act like I was jaded. This shit freaked me the fuck out. And I was just like, man, this shit is real. Like, New York is still real. There's still amazing art, right? But I'm not going to... No, I didn't say that was art. I'm just saying that, like, there's still, like, real shit that happens. Everybody's always like, it's only coffee shops. I'm like, no, motherfuckers still kill each other. There's too many people in this city to live amongst each other, right? But that's not where my story goes. My story goes to when I was, like, pure between the age of, like, 8 and about 12. It's a very, like, pure era for me, as it is for everybody else. And here, I just happen to grow up in the city. So my story goes back to 88 when he was talking about, but it's just like, you know, this colorful city where like you're playing water balloons, they splash, and then the guy downstairs is like, fuck you, whatever. You look, you just spilled a bunch of like water on his cocaine and shit. Maybe him, right? I don't know. I'm just like 10 years old and shit fucking around. We used to like trade in beer cans from the drunks and shit and trade it in so we can like get some, you know, 5 cents a can or whatever, and then like give it to like the junkyard dogs. Like we used to buy food for dogs, you know, just little kid shit that's just still normal around the city or whatever. So we used to like, now there's like in Williamsburg, there's on the Lorimer and like Grand Street stop, there's a police station. But it used to be where that train station went all the way to like Grand Street and Union, and there was this like crack. So as a 8-10-year-old, we were able to like, by the way, for 8-10-year-olds, being on the train back in those days was like kidnap and like fucked up shit. But at the time, when you get 15, 16 of like 8-10-year-olds, you're in danger because these kids are fucking crazy. So like, we used to hop the train, you know, where your parents be like, you know, air conditioning wasn't like everybody's shit. So you would just, oh yeah, get out the fucking house, it's hot. So you would just like, be like, yeah, I'm out, I'm playing in the playground bullshit. You hop the train via this not really hopping the train. There was this little like gap on the fence. You would hop it and then just jump and go anywhere. Like you would go to Central Park. If it was snowing, you would fucking grab a piece of cardboard and you slide. You know, that was your sled and shit. I had the same fun that anybody who comes to New York had fun, but it was a different kind of fun. It was the same fun, but it was different. So we used to do that kind of stuff. So my story goes back to exactly the same year where like, you know, we were on our way to Coney Island. I was with a bunch of friends. There's about like 15 of us. And we hopped the train, not really hopping it, on the side that doesn't exist anymore. It was like on Grand Street Union. We hopped it and we were like, yeah, we're on our way to Coney Island, and we used to have these improv like on the G train, right after it used to be the GG, because for a minute there was a GG. Just look it up. I'm not gonna explain that part. But the G train was notorious at the time.
Still is.
So if the G train was like Marcy Projects, Queensbridge Projects, Lafayette Gardens, it was like Fort Greene, when none of that shit sounded like the neighborhood they sold you in real estate. You know what I mean? Like now it's like, oh, Fort Greene, that shit sounds great. No, I'm talking about like Fort Greene when it was like, nah, I'm not fucking with that. So like, that's the kind of like G train it was. So we were like, all right, yeah, you know, we're taking the G train to like Coney Island or whatever. And we used to have these like improv games, and talking about like 15 kids that are between the age of like 8 and 12. And we're just like, you know, tag, you're in, boom, and you just run out the car, and you have the entire train car to play and shit. You're just a bunch of goons and shit. And then like, we hit Smith Knife, and somebody goes, boom, and they just like run on. I'm like, oh, it's just an improv game. And I'm like, oh shit, nobody got back on the train. And then they're like, yeah, we're not going to Coney Island. We're going to Red Hook Pool, right? And right now you guys look, oh, Red Hook, yeah, IKEA and fucking Lobster House and all that shit. No, I'm talking about the Red Hook that was dangerous as fuck. You know what I mean? And back then you didn't go to anybody else's neighborhood. And these kids are like, yeah, we're going to Red Hook Pool. And I'm like, I don't really think that's a good idea. But you can't look like a punk back then either. And I had no option. Like as a kid, I was like 10 at the time. So like, I got a mob of like 15, or I can like go back on the train by myself and get kidnapped, right? So I'm just like, shit. So I gotta like, I'm playing with these kids. I'm like, well, you know, like I'm like, well, we should go to Coney Island because that's where. And they're like, no, we're going to Red Hook. And I was just like, they're like, no, Coney Island. You know, like they're like trying to sell me on it, and I'm trying to sell them on the opposite. It got to a point where I was like reverse doing that shit, where I was like, yeah, but you know, like, yeah, fuck that. We're going to Red Hook Pool, you know, because who wants to see a freak show? Who wants to be in the ocean? You know, who wants to? Like, I'm making shit up because I knew it was a bad idea, right? So then we get to it, and I get to a point where I'm like, well, I don't got swimming trunks, and they're definitely not gonna let me in a pool without swimming trunks. And I had jeans and shit. They were like, listen, this pool doesn't care, which in my mind was like, not in their mind. Their mind, they were just like, yeah. So we go to this pool, we get in, and we're, like I said, the oldest kid was like 12 years old. Everybody, the median was like 10. And we're like little kids and shit going to a strange neighborhood in the middle of the projects. We see all these teenagers just like bum rushing dudes into the pool. Like if you on the edge of the pool, you get tackled. There was dudes jumping in with fucking long jeans and Timbs and shit. I was just like, holy shit, we're fucked. So like, I'm just like standing in the middle pool, just like, I knew this was a bad idea. But at that point, you can't be coward. So I'm just like, hey, I'm just chilling and shit. And then like, the like teenagers, cause that was like your biggest worry when you were like that age. So teenagers start coming around and shit. And I'm just like, fuck. They like tackle the shit out of somebody, land in the fucking pool. I'm like, damn. And then like my cousin's just chilling on the edge, just like, yeah, man, this is great, or whatever. And they get around to him and shit. And then like a little kid that was down with the whole shit went to put like his sneakers on top of my cousin's flat top and shit. And then like the older dude was just like, yeah, nah, not him, man. He's one of us. And I don't know the kid's conscious or where it came from. I don't know if he thought my cousin was like from Red Hook or whatever. But the rest of the kids that I was with, which, you know, I'm Dominican, so like my cousin looked a little bit more African American, and Red Hook at the time wasn't so South Iranian as it is today. But at the time, you know, all these other kids was just like, oh shit. You know what I mean? And it just, they realized that everything I was telling them from the train ride the whole way, I was just like, yeah, this is not our hood. And not because I have black kids. It wasn't like about race. It was just more like, we're just not in our projects. And the fact that the kid was just like, yeah, nah, he one of us. We were like, oh shit, he just survived like a bullet. You know what I mean? And then we was just like, I got on that like train, man, on the G train, and I was just like, man. It was like seeing the sunset come down. You know, like just like that like Western shit where you be like, oh man. And after that I had like a bunch of stories. I was kind of like, I don't know how much time I got. I was gonna jump off. How much time I got?
I'm right here.
How much time I got?
Yeah, you go.
I got a shit ton of stories, so I just didn't want to go like here and there.
Go.
2 minutes.
2 minutes, damn, I can't really tell.
3 minutes.
3 minutes, why?
2
When I was in high school, we used to bust, you know, the L train, like where the conductor be at? We used to bust that shit open, right? Boom, and make out with the chick in the booth. And when we did it, we used to bust it and just talk shit on the mic. So you be on the L train and be like, yo, shout out to Bushwick. What up? You know what I mean? Like, that was old New York. You know, like, that's old shit. You see, he remembers it. He's like, oh, you the motherfucker, you still there. The same instinct that hit me in the pool, I'll wrap it up. The reason, like, I used to hop the train, but I was like I said, I was like 8 or 10. My mom had no idea. Good thing she doesn't speak English, so she's never gonna see this on YouTube. I used to hop the train, you know, we were supposed to be playing strike box and shit like that. We used to just be like, oh, collect cans, like I said, feed fucking dogs and shit. That's goodwill, right? And, you know, like, yeah, like I said, we used to hop the shit, just go everywhere. And then when it hit like 11 or 12, that's when we started becoming like the victims to shit. So it's like, that's when cops were like, we went from like the little kids that nobody cared about to like, oh shit, you got a hoodie and you're Spanish, come over here. And then we started getting tickets and shit. I don't want to play the victim, I'm just saying that that's when like things happen, shit like that. I'm gonna end it though. I don't want to end it on a sour note like that. I mean, that shit happens and it still exists. But yeah, I guess there is no, like, there's a whole bunch of other stories that are horrible. I'm trying to think of one good one, but
Bring the sun out. Bring the sun out.
no, I gotta end it good. Give me 1 minute. Give me like 1 minute. Shit. It does get sour once you get old, right?
You ever find love on the train?
That's what I learned.
One of the girls you made out with?
You ever find love on the train?
What's the best quote you've ever said over the speaker?
It gets bad, man. It just...
You all done.
Tell us, go hard and dark.
Shit, I know I have a better story.
I want to hear it.
I'm sorry, man.
Give us a dark one.
It was fun. I had a lot of fun on the train. Yeah, I think the speaking shit on the mics is probably about as happy as it gets as a teenager. So, but 88 though, 88. The city is colorful, man.